Hello, Vrang, and welcome to your deck review. For those of you joining us for the first time on YouTube, this is a series where I, Maldhound, normally a wannabe court jester in your short form content feed, will calmly, politely, even lovingly take a look at your commander deck in its weird little PP. Your PP is your premise and your practicum. Your premise is the idea behind your deck, it's what you want it to do. For this, it's I spent a lot of mana. Will something happen, please? And your practicum is the stuff that actually goes down when you play the deck. For this deck, the problem we're having is sometimes it comes together. We're in bracket 3. Sometimes it comes together. We get to do something big and impactful. And sometimes we just kind of sit there while other people play Magic. We are very, very vulnerable to creature removal. We're extremely vulnerable to edicts. And sometimes the ball just doesn't get rolling quickly enough to keep up with everybody. And this is where I am going to get on my little soapbox and talk about how you should not use budget. On pain of death, you should not use budget. And this is a wonderful example of why. Because many of the cards in here, some of them are fun. Some of them are hidden gems. I would say Combustible Gear Hulk is amazing in a deck that has such a high mana curve. Because Ashling, for those of you who don't know her, once we flip her, she will float us 2 mana at the beginning of at our first main phase, but we can only spend it on expensive shit. So we want a deck full of mana value 4 or greater. Lovely. With Combustible Gear Hulk, that can represent so much damage. And it's so cool that he's 30 cents. It feels like we found a diamond in the rough. And then we begin casting spells like Ignite the Future, which we even have an angle for in this deck. We can get up to 8 mana. And then we begin casting spells like Interpret the Signs. And a lot of these have some angle. Sorry. But like Artistic Process is another poster child. Like we have this tagged under elemental tokens, and it's 5 mana to make a 3/3. It's 5 mana to copy an elemental we already control, which we have 10 elementals in the deck, so we're probably not drawing them. We have 7 mana to make 1/5/5 with a keyword. Like a lot of the choices, sometimes the choices you make for budget are interesting and lead the deck down a new path. Oftentimes, the choices you make for the sake of budget are just doing the exact same thing everybody else is doing, but worse. And there's nothing romantic about it. Like the way people treat budget deck building in Magic, and obviously this is different if it's like I have to play IRL in a setting that will not allow proxies. But like definitely if we're playing online or if we're playing like kitchen table Magic IRL, holding yourself to budget for its own sake is a lot like those authors who romanticize poverty and talk about like, oh, me eating only ramen for 3 years was such a like mystical and beautiful time of my life. Like, no, bitch, you got gout. You had kidney stones. You were not getting healthy proteins or fats. And you were dehydrated the whole, it was like bad. It was objectively bad. Like I don't even know if this is a real interview, so grain of salt. But the creator of Chainsaw Man was once quoted as telling a story about like, oh, I went to Mongolia once, and there were these children who lived in the tunnels, like in sewer tunnels, and they spent all day crawling through the trash, just trying to find a scrap of food to eat, and they didn't move very much. They never played with the other tunnel children, and they would try to avoid the sun, so they didn't use up a lot of their energy, and they would just wake up, crawl through trash, eat whatever they could find, go back to sleep. But there's a certain beauty to that. And those were not his exact words, but like that sentiment is like the incredulity towards that sentiment is how I feel when people are like, ah, there's something special to budget deck building. I think it's a beautiful thing when a budget card is also a banger for a deck like this, but I don't think we should be trying to hold ourselves to budget just to do it. If we have to play in the realm where we have to own all these cards in paper, they all have to be official. That's different, you know. Um, but otherwise, there's almost certainly some upgrades that can be made just by the sake of not going like, okay, well, does the spell have to cost less than $1, or can it cost $2 and we just print it out because we're playing on like Cockatrice or Untap or in the Moxfield playtester, stuff like that. Never cut this card. This is the best card in the entire fucking game. Holy shit. So with that out of the way, let's examine what our priorities in this deck are. We have a lot of card draw. That's a great priority. Do we have a wizard? I'm slightly confused by this. Um, do we have 4 wizards in the deck, so we're never hitting this for both modes, which means we're spending 3 mana to draw 2, and we do not have a curve built for double spelling. We have a curve built for Big Show's WWE finishing move, which is to sit on a person. It is modal, so like it's draw and removal and creature removal and artifact removal. I usually find very, very few modal spells are actually worth their money. Most of the time, you should just pick something that's like an A plus at the thing it's meant to do. Um, I think Ashling's command is also kind of the same thing. Like we get 2 things, right? So we can like soft board wipe, we can draw 2 cards, but I think you would likely have a better time if more of your draw section was just pure, I rip a bunch of cards off the top of my deck, and then all the turns after that, threat, 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 threat. If you're going to do things that double dip, I would really recommend having it be on bodies that double dip. Because, like you said yourself, edicts, I believe you said, hold on, make sure I'm not misquoting you, like the author of Chainsaw Man. Um, hold on. Right, sacrifice a creature each turn. Like there is a value that a lot of people and especially a lot of content creators underrate, which is just like having a fucking guy there. So one of my most favorite cards for big mana Izzet decks is Trumpeting Carnosaur. And I don't believe it's budget, right? This is a $2 card. So it's entirely outside of your purview, most likely, when we're looking at how do I restrain the cost of this deck, but it's perfect for what the deck is. It's a big body, it's potentially interaction, and when we play it, it's going to replace itself. That's exactly what we want. The philosophy you need to have when you have these ramp decks is you are not allowed to lean really far into synergy. You can lean a little bit into synergy, but for you, your synergy is ramping. You know what synergizes well with ramping? Playing expensive shit that does a lot of stuff by itself. And so, what I would be looking for is like, we have rocks. I love this. This is really good for like, I establish Ashling on turn 2, I establish a rock on turn 3. Everything after that, I play something crazy. It's a lot like I believe Salubrious Snail had a Rada deck, which does a similar thing, right? It's a mana dork on turn 2. Um, but every card that's like, I'm going to double up elementals, I'm going to care about elemental ETBs. We have 10 elementals in the deck. How many, if we then decide, okay, well, I'm going to play every token copy or spell I can, that's a different story because we can consider those to be additional copies of our elementals and then we can get something going. But when I look through, I see a lot of stuff that commits very, very weakly to board. Like it commits to board almost as an afterthought, and you're really, really strongly seeking just like, I want to do a lot of stuff. I want to do a lot of stuff and things. And then at the end of your turn, you have a 2/2 and a 3/3, and the world leaves you behind. And so, what we should lean towards is if we're going to double dip, it has to double dip on a creature. Hopefully, double dip on a creature that can beat somebody's ass. So, you want to know what's really good at drawing cards? Bird. Bird. Bird is the word. And look, he's $3 because he was only printed once in the Warhammer 40k precons. Like, does this card deserve to be $3 in the grand scale of Magic? No, because that's supply and demand, and supply and demand doesn't give a shit about what deserves to be where. Because it was only printed once, it's hard to find. But this is a great thing that would be able to block for you. It can get damage in. If you use clone spells, it will draw you so many cards. And right now we just don't get to play with it because we want to uh validate some external pressure we have about the abstract value of money. So I don't think these all have to be ETBs, right? Other things I love that are really expensive are things with damage triggers. So Sphinx Ambassador is my beloved. I recommend this to every deck that has blue and can make a lot of money. When you hit somebody, you get to check their deck for a card. You pull it out. They guess what you picked. If they guess wrong, you get it to field. It has to be a creature, but you just get it. You just get it. And there's so many other Sphinxes that can do very, very fun things like this. There's Master of Predicaments. He actually does fit in the budget thing. But when we hit somebody, you pick a card in your hand, they guess whether it's big or not. If they guess wrong, you can cast the card for free. Now, we have so few cards that are below 4, they're almost always going to be like, oh, no, it's not 4, which gives you, or like, it's cheaper than 4, which gives you an angle to play cute stuff like Prismari Pianist, like Colorstorm Stallion. Damn, we're gonna get cucked pretty often on that 4 thing. Like Thunder. Whoa, why are we playing Thundercap Drake? Hold the fucking phone. Okay. I dislike this entire section. This is actually what I'm talking about with. These are almost all things that we would be playing after we have stuck Ashling. We play them after we have stuck Ashling, and they don't set us up well for the rest of the game, because we play a thing that cost reduces by 1, cost reduces by 1, cost reduces by 1. That doesn't get us to Echo Casting Symposium quickly enough. It doesn't get us to Fury Gale Flocking quickly enough. Like Brad Pitt isn't couponing when he goes to Safeway. He doesn't even go to Safeway. And that's what we're doing. So discounters in general, these are tools we want to use when we're trying to cast multiple small to medium spells a turn. They are not the tools of, I want to have a lot of mana and I want to use that lot of mana to cast one giant fuck you card every turn. So I would cut like there's an argument for Wizards of Thay to also be a flash enabler, but I would be cutting Thunderclap Drake. I would be cutting Thrix. I would be cutting Mind Splice Apparatus. I would be cutting Magnus the Red, Font of Magic, and Archmage of Runes. Just without thinking, I would get rid of those. I think your rocks are all fine. I know you called out Champion of the Path as something you really enjoyed in the primer. If you want to stay on Champion of the Path, we can. I would very, very strongly recommend you use clone spells. The other problem we're going to have with Champion of the Path is to cast this, we like have to exile our commander. Like, what other elementals are we going to have? I mean, I guess you're relying on exiling the elemental tokens we make from this, which is cute, but relies you to play a lot of really bad cards. Like, this card sucks. This card doesn't play into, because there are big mana sorceries. Most of your picks here are okay. The only thing I really take issue with in the Army and a Can section is Eris, because it cares about double spelling. We ain't built a deck that does that. We are a one pump chump, but that pump is just very forceful. So I don't like Eris. I'm down with everything else. It is extremely funny to me that the the thing I like the least is the most expensive. So we used most of our budget on this guy, who I'm like, get him out of here in any context. But like, Ruth is dope. Deke is dope. Colorstorm Stallion, dope. Prismari Pianist, dope. If you were going to, like, if we wanted to get crazy and try to double spell, Molten Core Maestro. That's our guy. Fuck Eris. Fuck Eris. Get him out of here. Garbage. Play this 55-cent dude. Right, back to the elemental thing. If you wanted to be on elementals, oh, well, I guess technically we could just play creature clones. Like, it doesn't have to be non-creature spells. We would like it to be a lot of instants and sorceries for our Army and a Can guys, but I'm going to try to keep it instants and sorceries. I think it keeps the deck overall cleaner. Irenicus's Vile Duplication, Quantum Misalignment. You have Will of the Temur. Realm Sketching is also really great because it can copy mana rocks, it can copy lands. It's very multi-use. Um, and this is again like it's stuff it's stuff we're currently missing because I don't think they fit into the budget of the deck, but it's not making us restricting ourselves from these cards on the basis of budget is not actually helping us have fun. It's not helping us play fairly. It's just putting us into a box where sometimes we lose the game for basically no reason, which is just sad to me. Um, so anyway, you really want to do the elemental thing. I would bring in a lot more of these copiers. Non-legendary copiers are also going to be awesome because then you can make multiple copies of your commander, and multiple copies of your commander will give you card cycling, which is good. Will give you lots of mana, which is great. And then the other thing is on some of these modal things, or some of these things. I'll try not to paint with too broad a brush. We need more things like Lord of Change that do the thing we want to do while also committing something hefty to the board, while committing something that is like big and scary. So Trumpeting Carnosaur, Lord of Change, um, Master of Predicaments is just a fun one. Like this card, wildly underrated, and clears artistic process, clears Ashling's command. Being able to shoot stuff with 3 toughness is very potent. Very, especially if we begin cloning it. Um, and so to find more stuff like this, I would just be looking at like, what are creatures in Izzet with mana value greater than or equal to 6? Like, what are some big fucking guys? And what can they do for me? What can they do for me that fits into what the deck already wants to do? Not set review. Good lord. So, like, Niv Mizzet Perrin, fuck, maybe we don't want to play him because he's a little bit boring. I love this guy. He's my goat. He is a little bit boring because he's so good and he's been so good for so long. But he does work with exactly what you want your deck to do. I don't love Wormcoil Engine for this deck. I don't think it really has anything to do with what you want to do. There's my boy Trumpeting Carnosaur. That's my guy. Oh, there's Auden Soldier. Guys, great. Myriading copies of our commander that aren't legendary. Myriading copies of any of these big boys. I personally love Agent of Treachery. Steal somebody's best thing. If we have clone spells, that guy gets better and better and better. Let's see what else is kicking around. I don't love Nalfeshni for this deck. Torrential Gearhulk could be quite good depending on our mix. We're very low on instants. So I don't love Torrential Gearhulk right now, and we have so few of those. There's Inferno Titan. Shit, dog. Ristic study at home. Shit, dog. And like, this guy's bad. I personally don't think you should run him, but I think you should run him before you run, like, Interpret the Signs, for instance. Because this, we have to commit to mana 1 time, and then we can keep drawing 3 every single turn. I just want us to be able to commit a meaningful threat to board most turns of the game. Like, I think Ovika can do that pretty well. We have a lot of really expensive things. This could be another army in a can type spell. Meringue River Regent is just fucked up and evil. It has card draw if we need it to be card draw. It is a big, nasty threat that bounces to other threats if we need that. This is the type of stuff we want to be utilizing more and more. I do love taking the Monarchy for no reason. I love this guy. He's also budget friendly. So things you have in the current deck that I think are the biggest dead weight. Abstract Performance, but it is fun. Arcane Endeavor, but it is fun. Ashling's Command. Flame of Aenor. I really want to let you keep this one. Interpret the signs, plea for power, portent of calamity, because we need to exile 4 different card types. We have 38 lands, 20 creatures, 19 instants, or 19 sorceries, 13 artifacts. Unless we're dumping like, let's see what the hits for this are like. I'll say you can dump 8 mana into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Artifact, sorcery, creature, land. Okay. Okay, we get it on 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a battle in this bitch. Holy shit. 8 land, artifact, instant, battle creature. Okay. Goddamn, Invasion of Archivos is crazy. All right, we can keep that one. Season Weaving's great. Splatter Technique is a little bit awful, but it is from Strixhaven, so I kind of get it. Cut Eris. I would probably be cutting counter spells that cost money, because like we're gonna tap out every turn for something ridiculous. If we're gonna have a counter spell, you want to have the bracket 3 appropriate free interaction button. Like this is what makes blue good at bracket 3. That's the point of playing blue in bracket 3, is you can interact when other people think shields are down. So fierce guardianship, deflecting swat, stuff like redirect lightning that is at least very, very mana efficient. All that's fine, but I don't think you're in the business of holding up 3 mana. I am down with these 3 board wipes. I think another board wipe you would enjoy if you can get right with proxying is Call Forth the Tempest. Is like huge fun for you. And the only reason you don't get to have that fun right now is because they printed it in one commander deck once. Like don't let a corporate licensing agreement prevent you from enjoying a very cool card in Commander, the format built around enjoying cool cards with your friends, because it is bracket appropriate. Then from elemental tokens, cut Process, cut Call the Skybreaker, cut Magma Opus, cut Multiple Choice, cut Rite of the Raging Storm. Cut Prophetic Bolt, cut. I already talked about cutting those. We talked about what to cut here. I am down with these cards. Do not treat Mana Sculpt as a ritual. Bad. And then I don't think you need this doubler, but it's fine. And we talked about with Champion of the Path, this being better or worse depending on how heavy you want to be in clones. But with all those cuts, I've gone over a lot of things you can add, different directions you can go. The important thing to keep in mind, you must get creatures on board more. That will keep you in the game more often. So whether it is card draw, whether it is removal, whatever it is, we want it to be stapled to a body more often than not, or we want the sorcery that does it to be absolutely backbreaking. We want it to be like Call Forth the Tempest. We want it to be like Volcanic Vision. We want it to be something where you go, if I'm not committing everything to board with, it's something to board with this, I am uncommitting everything you had on the board with this. And then we will be in a place where we can go, all right, fuck yeah, I'm jamming big spells, something crazy's happening every game. I'm not winning every game, but I'm having a blast. So if there's any other Is It Big Mana enjoyers, let me know in the comments what you would love to see in this deck. Otherwise, I wish you the best, and I do hope this helps.